guys, it's Nick with the RVing Tradesman. We're back out here on the tailgate of the Ram to give you guys some more tailgate talk today. Today what we're going to be talking about, because we have a nice day and I was actually able to do some stuff, is about batteries. And this is going to be about the camper, but a lot of this stuff is going to apply to your tow vehicle as well, or your car, anything like that. Sorry guys, if you guys hear four-wheelers and dirt bikes and stuff in the background, they were not out here 10 minutes ago when I set all this stuff up to get filming, but they're out here now. I mean, it's a free country. I can't go out there and tell them not to ride. But anyway, so we're going to need a couple of things to work on the battery with. I've already went ahead and taken the battery out of the vehicle. And a couple things that we're going to need a screwdriver to open the cells up to check the water in them. We're going to need a wire brush to clean the posts up. And we also need a flashlight and some water for checking the cells. A lot of people will recommend using distilled water. I just use water out of a water bottle. I mean, I've done it that way for a long time. I haven't really noticed any difference with it. I'm sure somebody out there is going to tell me that puppies and kittens are going to explode if you don't use distilled water, but it's, like I said, it's worked fine for me for a long time. And then another thing that I have is I've got a little tube of dielectric grease here, and we're going to use that at the end after we clean everything up and fill everything up with water and put it back in, so that our terminals don't corrode later. I went ahead and borrowed a battery tester from my dad, and we're going to test the battery beforehand and after to see what improvements filling it with water actually has on it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to, like I said, test the battery. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So we've got the tester hooked up, and we always want to make sure that when we're hooking anything up to a battery that we hook it up on the correct terminals. I never trust the color of the wire. I've seen a lot of times where somebody uses a black wire for the positive, or they use a red wire for the negative or something like that, because that's what they had lying around. I always go off of the battery. The battery will always be marked with a plus for positive and a minus for negative. So we've got it hooked up, and we can see on here now that we have 12.9 volts in the battery. And we're going to go ahead and get into the battery test. It's going to ask us what type of system is it. Is it a 12 volt system or a 24 volt system? It's a 12 volt system. So we select that. Then it asks us, is the battery in the vehicle or out of the vehicle? This is out of the vehicle. The reason it asks that is because this will also check the charging system on the vehicle as well. So that's why it wants to know if it's out of the vehicle, it bypasses that test. So we select out of the vehicle. It's a top post. It's a regular battery. It's just a lead acid battery, so we're going to go ahead and select that. Then it asks us, what is the standard? How's the battery measured? This battery is measured in cold cranking amps and marine cranking amps. I don't know what the difference between the two is, but I'm going to go ahead and select cold cranking amps. And guys, if you do know what the difference is out there, please go ahead and let us know. So we dial up 405 cold cranking amps, and it does the test. Alright, it tells us that the battery measured at 12.9 volts, and it measured 470 cold cranking amps with a rated of 405 cold cranking amps, so it's a good battery. So let's go ahead and fill it up and clean it and everything, and see if we make any improvements on it. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and pop the battery open and check the water level on it. I've already opened this one up, so I know it's low. And we're just going to use a flathead screwdriver to open it up. One thing I do want to make note before we go any further is these caps, these are vents. There's holes on the bottom of here, and I don't know how well you can see this. I'll do my best to try and get it in there for you. But there's holes in the bottom of these, and they vent to this little hole here. And what happens is when the battery's charging, the water will boil. That's why we need to replace the water in it periodically. And the reason I'm telling you about these is because this vent here, when we put this back on the battery, we want to make sure that it faces away from the terminals. Because if it faces towards the terminals, they have a tendency to corrode faster. And corrosion is the enemy. So we want to point them away. And we'll go ahead and check the battery and fill up all the cells in it really quick. And I tried really hard to get you guys a video of this, and I just was not able to do it. Hopefully I can find a picture on the internet and drop it in the video for you. But what you're going to do is you're going to pour a little bit of water in, and you'll notice when you pour the water in that the water will create a parabola on the plastic top of the battery. And what's happening is water is polarized, so if you look at the way that the molecules line up, they actually link together. So the water is kind of holding on to the water in the battery as it climbs up the side. So you create a parabola. It's sort of a neat little thing of science. I already went ahead and filled this up. So all these cells are full of water. We're going to go ahead and put the cap back on. Remember, we want to point that away from the terminals. And then we're just going to use the same screwdriver and just give it a little tap on the back of it to put them back on. The next thing that we're going to move on to is we're going to clean the terminals up. You just use a simple wire brush. Just go ahead and scrub them a little bit until they're all nice and shiny silver lead. Any white corrosion, powdery stuff on there like that, we want to go ahead and get off. Once we do that and we've got the battery put back in, we're going to take a little bit of that dielectric grease we talked about before and put it on the terminals. That's going to help keep them clean longer. I have not really done anything with this battery since we got the Sonic back in 2015. So this battery is 4 years old and there's almost no corrosion on the terminals. So grease definitely helps. One thing I will say before we go into the post battery test is when you're taking the terminals off, you always want to take your negative off first, then take your positive off. And same thing when you're if you're jump starting a vehicle or a car or something like that. You want to hook your positive up to your dead battery first, then hook your positive up to your charging vehicle. You can hook your negative on your charging vehicle, your running vehicle with the good battery. You're going to hook that up to the post on the battery, and then the negative on your vehicle that you're trying to jump is going to go to your engine block or a solid ground. Usually the big threaded part coming out of the strut works pretty well on a lot of cars, as long as it's not too rusted. And then when you're taking the jumper cables back off, you want to do it in the opposite order. So you're going to take that negative off first, and you're going to take the positive off second. We always want to do negative first when we're taking the battery out, and we want to do positive first when we're putting the battery back in. So just something to keep in mind, little safety tidbit. But we're going to go ahead and get into the post-battery test now. So I'm going to get the battery tester back out. And I'm not going to go through every single step again because it's going to be pretty much the same. We'll just go ahead and jump right to the results. Okay, so we've got our results on here, and they're about the same. It's 12.9 volts again. It's measured at 474 cold cranking amps, and it's rated for 405. Now the only thing I can think as to why we haven't changed anything is because we didn't charge it. They do recommend you charge the battery after you top it off with water. That's about it. I mean, it's a good battery either way. It was good before the test. I mean, it was good after the test. I'm not going to really dive into it too far. But there you have it, guys. That's about all I have for you. If you guys have any other battery tips that you want to drop in the comments, we will welcome them. you know, guys, I mean, I think that's really all I have for you. I don't know how much I can talk about a battery, unless you want me to just really start diving into the science of it, and I don't think anybody wants that. So, as always, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, share the videos. I know we got some guys out there that are really good with supporting us out there, and we're going to do a video for those guys to thank them all. And as always, stay safe out there, and we'll see you on the next one. Okay guys, I wanted to come back real quick and just tell you one thing. I went ahead and did the marine cranking amps test on this, and it measured 623 marine cranking amps out of 505, so there apparently is a difference. So like I said, if anybody out there knows what the difference is, I'd be curious to know what it is. As far as these battery testers go, battery analyzers, whatever you want to call them, you can... this is not something that you need to have with you to do like a annual battery maintenance. You can pull the battery out, you know, fill it with water, clean it, bring it down to AutoZone, and have them check the battery for you. If you know, if you just want to know. I kind of just did this as sort of a fun thing for the video. The only other thing that I do have to say, I can't remember if I said it before or not. If you have a maintenance-free battery, you're not going to be able to fill it with water. You're just kind of at the mercy of whatever is in the battery. So really all you're going to be able to do is just clean your terminals and grease everything and put it back in. I know some people do this in the fall, some people do it in the spring. Really, it doesn't matter that much as long as you get it in once a year. But that's all I have for you guys. And for the second time, stay safe out there, and we'll see you on the next one.